Hail Heroes, it's going to be another short tutorial video for you. It might not be as short as the one on the spawn cards and a few of the other ones we've got planned. Well, it might already be out by now. If I trip over my own tongue a bit, as usual, I am unscripted. You can see I've got a Fame Priest board here. I haven't set it up completely. It's really just to illustrate a point in a moment. I've got 4 of the different trap tokens. Now, if you want to know the quantities, those are... They might be in the rulebook, the quantities of those, but they're certainly in our tokens video. And I've got a couple of green dice here. You'll see why. And I've got the archive tile here. You'll see why. So, when you are going through the dungeon, you're going to have moments where you see something like that. And when you see that, that is a live trap. It's got the active side there. As soon as you get into that zone, the moment you do something else, there are a few exceptions. You could drink a potion. That's not going to set off a trap. You could read a scroll. It's not going to set off a trap. If you're playing the Grave Piper, you could play a tune. It's not going to set off the trap. So there's a couple of things like that. We're just not physically moving around or doing anything to set it off. But pretty much if you move, you attack, search, you're going to set this off if you're not searching for traps. If you do search for traps and you're successful, you can ignore this for the rest of the time you're in here. But if you're unsuccessful, you will trigger the trap. So you'll have seen in one of our playthroughs, if you watch them, I'm playing a Berserker, and after a while I think to myself, I'm going to stop. If I can deal with the damage, the potential ramifications, I'm probably going to stop searching for the traps because he's not very good at finding them. And that was a decision that I made, and I got through that scenario by the skin of my teeth, and I did win. So you can do it. Anyway, when it's triggered, you'll flip it like that, and you're going to draw a card. Okay? Let's imagine you didn't do that, and your character was in the zone. You can spend a cube to let someone else that enters the zone gain +1 to their search for the trap. It's almost like going, oh, watch out, there's a trap over there. You can spend 2 cubes to say someone, there is a trap right here, like you stood over it pointing at it going, don't stand on this. Yeah, and then they're safe whenever they're in the zone. So there you go, that's that very quickly. Now we'll actually get into if you have set one off, so we'll flip it over again. Alright, now we're only going to go through 4 of them, I think, so we'll take the top one off, and I've got a spike pit. Okay, so with a spike pit, it's got a hand of dice symbols, so that is with us our 6 custom dice. So you'd roll those, and it says test 3, which means you need 3 successes, or the hero takes 3 damage. So I'll roll that, and you're going to see I'm going to take the 3 damage, but I think I've won the car because I've got 5 she spirals there. So anyway, so what would happen is you're going to put in there the trap, and you can put your miniature on it, and you've taken 3 damage. But now you've got a benefit. You can actually search this zone as well as this zone for treasure. Obviously, provided that you survive the fall. It costs an activation cube of any kind, or what we call a universal activation cube. So you can spend a Triskelion, you can send a She Spiral, you spend a combat, you just climb out of the zone. If you see in a scenario that it's placed against a doorway, when you do that, you can elect to come out into the room or to come out into the next tile. Okay, that's the spike pit. So we'll remove the spike pit. There's 3 of those, I remember. Now, we'll pop the spike pit to the bottom of the deck and we'll see what will come out next. So the next one I'm going to explain to you is the falling block. So exactly the same scenario has occurred. You've set off your trap, right? You've got to put a rubble token in the zone. Boom, that's done. All heroes in the zone have got to test 3, or test 3 successes on a hand of dice. So we do that. This time I've got them. So that guy's not taking 3 damage. But if I'd failed, I would take 3 damage from possibly the ceiling caving in, right? And the zone is now more difficult to traverse, which is why we put this rubble token in. It's going to cost 2 cubes instead of 1 for a corporeal hero. There is a spell, there are means to become incorporeal in the game, to leave the zone. So normally you'd move any of these cubes, can be movement, and you'd just use 1. But if that's in the zone, you've got to use 2, because it's slightly harder to get through the zone. Yeah, enemies ignore rubble. They ignore traps pretty much, unless something indicates otherwise. So, for example, if you set off a bomb or something, it tends to hit everything in the zone. Right, so that is the rubble token. We'll pop that back out, pop those back in there. Don't know if I've got further use of those or not, but again, back to the archives and our trap that's gone off. So this time we've got the fire trap. Right, sometimes it might tell you to orient it a certain way, and on the serpent symbol it will turn. So it could be that it's oriented that way and it's actually flaming into a zone, and then it turns. When it gets back, it will flame into that zone again. But most of the time it's just sat in the corner and it will engulf the entire zone here in flames. Every now and then you'll have a situation where a fire trap you put in may well have a durability, enabling you to destroy it. Normally you would require a bludgeoning weapon for that, which is why some of our weapons have got types. Anyone that plays role-playing games will be familiar with those types of slashing and piercing and bludgeoning. Anyway, a tongue of flame sears across the zone. Roll 4 dice that bypass armour. So if you're wearing armour, of course you're getting engulfed in flames. It's not going to help you very much. So look at that. Ooh, he's got a hit there. That's going to be a damage for every combat. So that's 3 damage from that one. So that hero is going to need to find some means of healing himself, really. Just like if you'd fallen into the trap and all the rest of it. So fallen into the pit trap. So anyway, this trap resets. What that basically means is that this trap's ready to go all the time. If a spawn card shows a perpetual symbol, that's going to change to be serpent symbol. We've got rid of the perpetual symbol. It's still perpetual in a way because we've got the snake swallowing its own tail. You know, what is that if it's not a perpetual symbol? Anyway, so whenever the serpent goes is on a spawn card, which is on about roughly half of the spawn cards, card counting's possible there if you're clever, and then that's going to engulf the flame again, but it'll do it in the end of the end of the round. So don't stand in zones with fire traps. Seems like a pretty good policy anyway, doesn't it? Right. And then the final one, which is probably the most complicated trap we've got. So let's go. We're going to set that off. This is the poison gas trap. So what happens here is we put the poison gas trap symbol in. We set a dice. We don't have to put it on it. We can put it to the side if we wanted, or we can put it on it. I kind of like to set it to the side because I kind of like the visual. But anyway. Let's imagine my character's in there. I've then got to put, this is going to be set to 6, not 1. And this then means I've got to put a poison dice on my dashboard for 1. You could put it in this corner here, or you can just put it wherever you want. So at the end of the round, you apply the damage and rotate the dice up or down. Now, at the next hero phase, this one's going to go down, right? So it's going to go to 5. And the next hero phase is going to go to 4, and so on, right? With the idea being that it's going to go down to 3, go down to 2, go down to 1, come away. When it comes away, you're going to remove the poison gas trap. And the idea is that you set it off, big cloud of gas fills the area, and obviously it diffuses over a number of rounds. So that's what that's doing. In the meantime, if you're standing around in here, it's different to if you quickly leave. So at the end of the rounds, apply the damage and rotate the dice up or down. And what that means is my Fane Priest is going to take 1 damage, and once he's taken the damage, if he's still in the zone, he's going to put that up to 2. If he's still searching in the zone, like he's got something that really means he's got to stay in there, there's an objective he needs or something like that, he's going to maybe end up there, he's going to get 3. He'll take 2 damage, dial it up to 3. But it does sound the card, it's to a maximum of 3, so you can never get more poison from the poison gas trap than that. There are other things in the game that can give you limitless poison damage if you're actually stupid enough to hang around that long. Anyway, so it's maxed at 3 on this card. That's if he's hanging around in here, right? Now that would mean it would stop at 3, but it's not going to start dialing down. You dial down the dice if the hero leaves the zone. So he's quickly gone, oh, I've set off a poison gas trap, and he's bombed it out of there as quickly as he can, right? So in that case, he'd take his 1 damage from when he set it off, right? Because you've got 1 over there with a 1 on it. So it takes his 1 damage, and instead of dialing it up, you dial it down because he's not been subjected to the poison for as long as other characters. And that's basically how the poison gas trap works. And there are obviously other traps, but I'll let you discover those in the game, I think, or by watching some of our videos, and some that will be released in the future. So thanks for your time. And yeah, so until next time, heroes, blessed be.